Let's move on to some of the questions people asked since last time. And here we have this fellow. He's at the volume. Says, good info. Einstein did not believe both theories, meaning quantum mechanics and general relativity. Was there a video about this? Yeah, I put this up there several times. And here, let me show you again one more time. Einstein did not believe in quantum mechanics at all in his entire life. And he stopped believing in general relativity. He became an atheist in general relativity. And here it is. This is how he ended his days at Princeton. And he says, I've become an obstinate heretic in the eyes of my colleagues. Okay? I am generally regarded as sort of petrified object, rendered blind and deaf by the years. You know, he kind of became old, and they left him there, and they didn't worry about him. Okay, and so they kind of turned him into a poster boy, for general relativity against his will, because he no longer believed in this nonsense. Here you see it. All these 50 years of conscious brooding have brought me no closer to the answer of the question, what are like quanta? Nowadays, every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks he knows it, but he is mistaken. I consider it quite possible that physics cannot be based on the field concept. Okay? Field theory, that's what his equation is. It's a field equation. So he stopped believing in it. It says, on continuous structures. Okay? In that case, nothing remains of my entire castle in the air, gravitation theory included, and of the rest of modern physics. He wrote this as late as 1954. He died, I think, 1955. So he stopped believing. He became an atheist in his own religion, the one he created. And to punish him, relativists essentially, turned him into the poster boy of their religion. Today, everybody has to mention Einstein. Oh, Einstein. If you say Einstein, your paper gets published. It turns out that, Einstein is rolling in his grave. He doesn't like that. He said, look, I don't believe in my own theory anymore. I realize that it's nonsense. But people continue to put him up there as, as the Einstein is a synonym of intelligence, Okay, another fellow, he has something else. He says, truth and belief aren't synonymous. Okay, real physicists gave up long ago looking for stuff in matter. Yeah, in other words, he's right. You have Richard Feynman says, they've given up on all that stuff. So they don't do that. In fact, they never did. They always did equations. They always did numbers and variables. They never did objects. They never explained, they never gave a physical interpretation using objects as mediators. They always used concept, field, energy, time, you bend time, waves, all these concepts, they reified them, turned them into objects. And then they started moving the concepts around, these reified concepts. There's only fractal energy, whatever energy is, right? Space is the container of the subatomic particles space is nothing, so it can't contain anything. You need something with shape to contain, and so you can't. And it's not a connector because it's nothing. How do you connect A with B if space is not a physical thing to connect them? Connect implies object, a thing, okay? And there's enough love. I think you said energy, but it's the same thing. It's a concept, right? So there's enough love in a teacup of space to boil all the world's oceans. Yeah, these people talk nonsense. Why? Because they're using the words of mathematical physics, which is all these concepts, and they're treating them as objects. So they use the word energy, the word field, the word wave. These words are forbidden in science, in physics. Okay, you can use them in math, but keep them in math. Don't bring them ever into science, okay? Because they mislead. Their only purpose is to mislead. Okay, so here we have another fellow, and he says, along the same line, says, but you don't have an objective basis for your knowledge. Therefore, my belief is true because I claim objectivity. And he says, average metaphysical philosopher. I guess he signed his title there or something. Okay, so we have to find out, what does objective mean? Well, objective in physics is what comes out of the screen, out of the event. That's objective. Once it happened, once it's history, only Mother Nature, God, the devil, Father Universe, one of those guys knows what happened exactly. It's in a file cabinet out there in the universe somewhere, right? But for us humans, we have no actual, access to that file cabinet. We can only speculate on what happened. Okay, and so we cannot really know for sure what happened. We do not know the truth, if we're going to call truth, what actually happened. No one can know that. Okay, and you might say, well, I know, I just saw him kill this person right in front of me. I saw it with my eyes. You're the only person on earth who knows it, but now you're going to have to tell someone else. And the other person has to believe you. Believe your knowledge. Okay, that's the way it works. And so, no, we don't deal with knowledge in science. We don't deal with knowledge in physics. Knowledge is what? Justified true belief. It's a belief. Knowledge means that you know for sure, but your neighbor doesn't know for sure or believes you're lying. So you know the truth, you know for a fact, but for him it's a lie. It's a falsehood or whatever. So we have no use for knowledge, and there's no such thing as that. Objective is only what Mother Nature already put in her basket, in her file cabinet. Okay, we have no access to that information. We can only make assumptions, speculate, etc. Okay, believe. And the way we do in science, we make an assumption. Let us assume that this is what happened. Let us assume that this is the case. Let us assume God exists. That's how we started science. We don't say, I believe in the existence of God, or I don't believe in the existence of God. That's irrational. Those are irrational statements. Now, in science, we say, let us assume God exists. We make an assumption. Then we explain based on that assumption. Okay, so here another fellow says, the core of a neutron star is probably some phase transition between hadron gas and gluon plasma. We have no use for hadron or gluon or plasma. Those are forbidden words in science. Okay, we don't use those foul four-letter words. Okay, there's no such thing as a gluon. There's no such thing as a hadron or plasma. Those are not things. Okay, the first two don't exist because they're particles, and you can't explain anything with particles in quantum or in science or in anywhere. We don't have particles, discrete particles. Okay, so again, neutron star. It could be made of neutrons. We have no problem with that part of it, but we have to know what a neutron is, what it looks like, etc. We have to illustrate the neutron in order to talk about it intelligently. And so no, I can't agree with what this fellow says there. I don't even know if he knows what he said. Okay, another fellow says, something about the speed of light, says 300 million meters per second in a vacuum is only true when measured from one inertial frame of reference. But from another frame of reference, which has relative speed differential to the first frame, the measured speed of light must be c plus or minus v, the velocity of the object, right? Plus or minus the velocity of the object. In other words, if you have a flashlight on a train, right, the train is going 100 miles per hour, you have to add that speed to the speed of light on your flashlight, or if you're from another point of view, well, you would have to subtract it. That's what he's saying. So c is not a universal constant, only a local constant relative to the measurement system. E is frame 1. In frame 1 is a different measured value to c in frame 2, if those frames have relative motion. Do you agree? No. No, in science we do not measure. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, we do not measure. It's the mathematicians who do measurement and a lot of nonsense out there, and then they reach the most irrational conclusion they can find. So the way we do it in science is this way. We say, look, c equals frequency times wavelength, okay, under light. And if you raise the frequency, you lower the wavelength, and vice versa. Okay, so what happens? You can get a rope and you can count the number of links, okay, for a meter or whatever length of rope. And you count the number of links. Now you torque the rope more and more and more, you're going to have more links, and each link will be shorter. And vice versa. If you untorque it, you will see that there are fewer links and each link is longer. And that's what the equation says. That's why C is always a constant. It had better be a constant. Not because we measured it, we don't care about measurement or what the observer observed. We don't care about any of that. We look and say we have to conceptualize what light is. And if light is a rope, the speed of light had better be a constant. Okay, that's the way we do it. Okay, so C equals frequency times wavelength is the equation of a rope. The rope is the only thing that can simulate that equation, which is a constant. Okay, 300,000 or close to 300,000 kilometers per second. Okay, and final question, fellow says something about infinity, and he says yes, infinitely small is not a measure, quantum amount, and comes in conflict with the concept of a Planck length. Okay, infinity is a process, not a quantum, and he's totally right. Infinity means that mathematicians are going around in circles forever, or figure eights, sorry. So yeah, infinity just means that you're chasing your tail around. That's all it is. It means that you're running around forever. There's no object, it's not a noun. Okay, infinity is a verb. Infinity means you're running forever, counting forever, whatever, doing forever, eternally. And so yeah, there is no such thing as infinity. It's a concept that is totally alien to science and to physics. It only has validity in mathematics, where they count forever. And they say, hey, the numbers extend until you get tired of counting or whatever, or you die, whichever one comes first. Okay.